With us in the studio this morning is a doctor all the way from General Hospital Ikorodu, who would help us understand our conversation better this morning, talking about diet and weight management. She happens to be a dietitian all the way from General Hospital Ikorodu. She sure knows her onions well when we talk about diet, and that is why she has been awarded as a dietitian representing Lagos State. She's from General Hospital Ikorodu, and we would have this conversation together in person of Mrs. Olushola Anyonade. My name is Okpayemi Adebambo. I'll be your anchor for today on the issues where we talk about diet and weight management. It is very important that we know and have a proper understanding of what we call diet, and as well have an understanding of how well we can manage our weight and how well we can manage our diet. Today on the issues, we would of course accommodate conversations as regards diet and weight management. We would accommodate questions in line with our conversation. That is to say that our WhatsApp line are very much available for questions. That is 09040821061 or 09040811061. We are also very much available from anywhere all over the world. You can listen to us live on our website www.ikd1061fm.ng. This broadcast is streaming live on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and of course X. My name again is Okpayemi Adebambo, and with me in the studio is Olushola Anyonade. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
And I should say compliments of the season.
Same to you.
The year is still very young.
Yes, very, very young.
Thank you very much for doing us the honor of joining us today in the studio while we talk about diet and weight management. As a dietitian, I want us to start this conversation first talking about what does balanced diet in itself. You know, this conversation will not be complete and it will not be appropriate if we talk about our diet and weight management without talking about balanced diet in itself. Okay. So tell us first, what does it look like when we say balanced diet? What exactly is balanced diet?
Thank you very much for that question. Firstly, balanced diet is when you have all the classes of food in a plate of meal at a time. That's to talk about your carbohydrates, your protein, your fats, your vitamins, your minerals, the water, and also the fiber. Having all of this served in a plate of food at a time. But let me say, knowledge has gone past that because what I would say is balance for a child is not the same that is balance for an adult. So there is a, should I say, there is a switch to hit now which we call adequate diet.
Adequate diet.
Exactly. Which in turn looks into some preferences, or should I say some factors that affect, that has to do with your diet. That is your age, your sex, your food preferences, your gene, and many things like that to fit or to suit the individual need as required of their daily calorie. Daily kilocalorie. Because my daily kilocalorie, of course, will be different from yours.
True.
Because I'm a female, my activity level differs from yours. My food preferences will be put into consideration. So, adequate diet looks into this compared to when we talk about balanced diet. So, ideally, the best way to go about it is talking on your adequate diet rather than your balanced diet.
Thank you so very much. You know, one of the reasons why we have you here this morning is to help us understand what you have rightly termed as adequate diet rather than the regular or the usual balanced diets that we know. So you would help us as a dietitian to understand all of these. But then before we start going into how well we can have this adequate diet, how to strike a balance between our diet and our weight and all of that, let us take a look at what we call weight management as well. You know, how does this have any relationship? I want us to see how we can strike a balance between our diet and weight management, having an understanding. The reason for this next question is because some will tell you that whether I eat or not, in our family we are just chubby, we are just big. Some will tell you if I eat from now till tomorrow, I will still remain who I am. I am a typical example of that. No matter what I eat, this is me. You know, so tell us, how does diet, adequate diet, how does it have to do with our weight management? What is the relationship between diet and weight management.
Okay, let me first talk about what diet is.
Okay.
Diet is what our food that provides us with the nutrients, or should I say nutrition, that is needed for the body to grow, develop well, and also to help support the optimal health of each individual. So that's diet in itself. Then when you're not talking about weight management focuses on a sustainable approach. A sustainable approach that helps an individual, to navigate, either to lose weight, to maintain a particular weight, or to increase a particular weight.
Okay.
So because it's not when you talk about weight management, it does not necessarily have to do with I want to slim down, or I want to watch my weight, slim down. We have people that are quite underweight. Do you understand? And those ones too would want to manage their weight.
True.
Do you understand?
True.
And we have people that don't want to gain weight, they don't want to add. Do you understand?
They just want to be.
Exactly, they just want to maintain their weight, as the case may be. But the most common, which is, coming down, like shedding some weight, which is the regular one amongst us. So that in itself is different. So the focus is, should I say, the focus and the goal is different.
Okay.
So weight management is, like I've mentioned, the goal, your approach to sustain a goal to, for a healthy self, both using your diet and what have you to actually for your optimal health. Let me use it that way.
Thank you so very much. If you're listening to this conversation from wherever all over the world today, our focus is on diet and weight management. The reason for this conversation is to help us know how well we can manage ourselves as individuals, because this, of course, has a relationship with our health. And that is why we have our very own dietitian in the studio here in person of Olushola Ayonade, helping us have a proper understanding on this conversation. Now, going ahead with this conversation, I want to ask, when we talk about diet and then weight management, just like I said during the opening glee, some do not really want to totally believe that the diet has a role to play with their health. So now I want you to help us understand how important diet could be to the health, or if at all, as a dietitian, if at all diet is not really a major focus, because some will tell you that with or without these things, whether I do the water and all of those formulas you mentioned, I am still who I am. So tell us, diet and our health as individuals, what's the relationship? How important is diet to our health?
Let me start by saying you are what you eat. Do you understand? There has been frequent questions on that, and people would say, if I eat anything, I don't get fat,
exactly,
or I don't add up, in weight. But having said that, there are things that, like I've mentioned earlier, there are things that are peculiar to you as an individual. Sometimes genetics, as it may be, plays a part, and there are times that your social life, your physical activity, your lifestyle, let me put, your lifestyle is also a determinant. So diet on the major part, like I've said, that it is what you eat. Many people we have this habit of eating things that are very unhealthy, but we see it as a big man lifestyle, a big woman lifestyle.
I want to live big.
I want to eat shawarma. I have shawarma in the morning. I have pizza in the afternoon. You understand? So all of this, it might not actually be an immediate effect like many people would think. So it might be aftermath. It might take years. It might take months for some persons to actually see the repercussion of how much unhealthy eating habits has caused them. Now we have many people down with some chronic conditions. We have people down with hypertension, diabetes. You have people down with so many things. And when you now trace it back to what they have, perhaps some might have even have stopped.
Okay.
Then later in life, you now realize that, okay, what are the things you used to do? So the impact of that lifestyle they've had, indulging in whatever comes their way and eating it or having it as a drink is what now implies on their health later on in life. So the diet plays a very, very important part in our weight management. And also for the fact that when you do most of these things, as you age, your organs also age, and they are the one that helps in the absorption of these nutrients. They help to filter it. So imagine having so much and you are aging, they becomes weaker.
True.
So they becomes weaker, then they cannot carry out the supposed function they should. So in the long run, the person comes down. So with either one health condition, obesity, or what have you, or even have dyslipidemia or whatever the case for that individual is. So what they eat has a very, very huge impact in their weight, in the weight management. It plays a very, very crucial role. Very, very. Because if it doesn't, why would, for instance, a child, if food or diet does not play an important part, why would a child that is not well fed, with enough calorie and nutrients, be malnourished? Why not the child just grow, normally and develop as it should be?
True.
So that's to tell us that diet helps. And another thing is people that have maybe in the course of life, or they were healed at some point in time, and you would hear the doctor say, oh, they need to eat something to recuperate. And another one, if diet is not important, there are many medications we take, and they will tell you eat before you take it.
True.
So if diet is not important,
that would not have come into
exactly.
manifestation.
So
yes,
it cannot be overemphasized. We need it for life sustenance. So diet is very, very important, and it plays important part in our weight management.
I like the fact that earlier you said that we are what we eat.
Exactly.
So that means whatever we eat is what we look like in the outside world. So I want us to come from the angle of a background right now. That is when it is said or believed or assumed that when you talk about weight in itself, it has to do with the background. Some will tell you it is hereditary. Some will tell you that in my family, whether we eat well or not, we are chubby, we are fat. Some also tell you that whether we eat well or not, this is who we are. So as a dietitian, is it true that the family background could also matter or depend on how one actually has his or her weight?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mentioned earlier that there are factors that attribute to weight, to our body as individual. I mentioned genetics.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if genetics has a part to play, of course. Okay, let me give an instance. There was a time during immunization, a child was brought in, and as at 6 months, the child was having about 10 kg.
Wow.
I asked the mother, what did you give for the first 6 months of life? And she said, I did exclusive breastfeeding. I said, are you sure? And I asked further, is there any history of obesity in the father's side or from your side? And she told me from the father's side, they are quite big. So that gives that gives an insight to, of course, hereditary, or should I say your lineage or genetics plays a role in what you are. So for that woman, I just told her, since you have known this, I would advise that you don't incorporate unhealthy eating habits, or unhealthy eating pattern into the child's life. They are on the big side. Just try to help him maintain this weight in the best way that you can. Let him eat healthy, let him take what is needed of him, and as the child grows, you're sure the baby is big but also healthy. But not just that, but that is relative to the genetics having an impact on the child. So genetics or hereditary or family history has an impact on weight management.
Before you leave here today,
on weight, not weight management.
On weight.
So that can actually give you an ideology on, okay, we have this in my family. I think it's best for me to maintain or to come down or to keep up with that weight, or I want to beat what Guinness record of the most, of the fattest in the world. So depending on the...
So, you would help us today. You would help everyone out there listening to you this morning from all over Lagos. You would help us understand how well we can live a healthy life as regards our diet, what we eat. But before then, I want us to talk about some of the challenges of weight management and diet. When I say challenges, some persons really want to live a healthy life. Some persons want to have a proper weight management, but they'll just tell you, for this reason and that reason, I'm not being able to. Some will tell you, my work does not even help me eat. You have the experience. You have met with different patients that you've gotten your wealth of experience from. Tell us, what are some of these challenges people face that restrict them from having a healthy life, that restrict them from having a proper weight management lifestyle?
Okay, the number one thing is discipline. Discipline. Exactly. Many people are not disciplined because they've been used to this lifestyle, and maybe they now realize that it's going to complicate their health for them. So they want to actually come out of it, and they need a fast result, sharp. Do you understand? So discipline is number one. Then number two is should I say lack of commitment, or should I say they don't go for approach that is sustainable? So which still linked to discipline. They don't go for approach that is sustainable. You hear people say, if I fast, intermittent fasting, is it sustainable? So these are few challenges. Or some people would even tell you, I want to do this, then I will go for a keto diet.
Okay.
Which in itself is not for weight management. It's for something entirely. But people have bought into it and they made those things costlier for those that actually need it to maintain their their health.
True.
So many things can attribute to it. Some persons can be your kind of work. But whichever way, as much as there are challenges, there are always way out. That's why I said commitment to it. If you're committed to, many of us set some goals for ourselves, and until we achieve those goals, we don't relent. So that's why it is necessary that when you want to take approach, make sure it's sustainable, it's convenient, and it's still going to pay you in the long run. It's going to be like a win-win on both sides. So I think those are the major few challenges. And should I say social circle too is another one. Okay, I'm with my friends. If I don't hit this, they think I'm a bush girl.
That I'm cheap.
Exactly. If I don't dine and eat all of this Chinese food, they would think I'm not sophisticated enough. So these are things that are actually one of those challenges. Also, I have to have my chicken big on my food for people to know that I am this. I have to do this. I have to do that. These, sometimes show off, not being you, not being true to yourself, knowing what your capabilities are, knowing what your limits are part of the challenges that could affect. And lastly, I would say laziness. Many people are lazy, not talk. No, they talk and do. They just talk. I'm going to do this. Many people have set goals. This is a new year. My new year resolution, I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat healthy. Give them 1 month. They are back. They are back. So, laziness is part of the thing. So it's best to maybe perhaps to look for ways out of it or ways around it.
How about as a dietitian, are you saying to everyone listening to you right now that it is very achievable to have a proper healthy lifestyle considering the circumstances of our society, our economy and all of that? Is it achievable? Is it possible?
Yes, it is very possible and it is doable.
Okay.
It's not just possible, it is doable, it is economical.
It is economical.
Do you know? Because people always have this belief that if I want to actually eat healthy, I will need to break the bank. You don't have to break the bank.
It looks expensive, actually.
It looks expensive, but it is not expensive. The other day, I think I went out and I was at the bus stop and I saw somebody looked dehydrated and the next thing the guy opted for was Maltina. I'm not saying having Maltina is bad. Do you understand? Of course, you have your cheat days. You have days that will indulge in those things. And the guy opted for Maltina. And I said to myself, this guy is thirsty. This Maltina is taking. He will still need water. Bros, Maltina is 400. Why not Kukuma buy bottled water of 150 or 100 naira and be satisfied? And the funny thing is, the meals of the water is even double of the Maltina.
Wow.
Like, why shortchange yourself? Do you understand? So, but if you tell him, I think I wrote on my status that people would rather go for this. And when you tell them eat healthy, they will say it's expensive. But that 400 naira, and people do this on a daily basis. They will buy pet drinks. They will buy 250 now, Abi. They will buy those things and tell them to take a fruit. Like it's often said, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Tell them to buy apple. Apple is not expensive. Meanwhile, the money you use in buying that pet drink, that Maltina, that unhealthy stuff, why not, navigate it to that and see the benefits? Because those ones are going to give you more benefits. They have other nutrients aside the fact that they are all carbs. You understand? So they will give you your vitamins, they will provide your minerals. But just the drink, Otiton does the drink alone.
And that's it.
And that's it. And that's on period.
Okay, there are two things in our conversation today. We have the diet, and then we have the weight management.
Exactly.
The next 30 minutes, I must tell you that I am enjoying every bit of this conversation.
Thank you.
So the next 30 minutes of our conversation, I want us to start with the weight management and some ways at which we could manage our weight. I want us to dive into the weight management in itself right now before we end the conversation with our diet. When we say weight management, one of the easiest or the commonest approach that we know of or we actually subscribe to is what we call exercise. That is one of the best ways at which anybody will just tell you, do you want to lose your weight? Start jumping up and down, start jogging and start running from 6 to 7 every day in the morning. Aside exercise, what are some of the ways at which one could manage his or her weight as regards weight management? And tell us more about exercise and how effective it could be, if at all it is.
All right. Thank you for that question. Weight management, like I said, is for different approach, to gain, to maintain, or to lose some weight. Whichever approach it is, weight management in itself, it is individualized. Because what works for A doesn't work for B. Even though there are general terms.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
There are general approach to them, like do this, and do that. Do you understand? And if you now need an individualized, which is going to be for you, that would help you, that would help you achieve that aim or that goal that you've set concerning your weight. So that's been said. But there are foods that also helps.
Okay.
Do you understand? You mentioned exercise. Exercise is a key note, or should I say a key point,
okay,
when it comes to weight management, because you cannot outrule the importance. Just like I have eaten and I am burning out the excess calorie.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Because if you don't utilize this calorie that you have absorbed in, that you have taken in, and it is being stored, some of them get stored as fats. Do you understand? So that's why there is a need for you to actually, the body, metabolizes itself, at what's it called? At just, you're not doing anything. I don't want to say it's what is not. No, the body does that. But however, the importance of activity plays a very huge role in it, because the activity helps, like I've mentioned, helps you to burn those excess calorie from wherever it is that you have them. And I was mentioning that food or diet is important. When you look at it, what's the approach that we normally give when it comes to weight management and food, depending for somebody that wants to lose weight? Of course, the kilocalorie that you're given might be maintained, but rather you can look into foods that have lower calorie to incorporate into your daily intake. And another thing is ensure you don't skip meals. Do you understand? Make sure you have your breakfast as at when due, have your lunch as at when due, have your dinner as at when due.
The 3 square meal.
Exactly. So another thing is you have your portion controlled. Majorly for the carbs and the fats. Have it controlled for you. Do you understand? When you have those controlled for you, then you can now dive into more of your vegetables and your fruits as your added to your food, and you're going to do good to yourself in managing, or either to manage or to lose some weight. You will do that. But on gaining weight is a different thing.
True.
I cannot subscribe such an individual to taking more veggies, taking more fruits, as they cannot help to actually achieve that. So that's why I said it is individualized. It's different for each person.
I would accommodate calls later on, soonest shortly on the show, for persons out there who would like to ask questions as regards diet and weight management. Today we already have in the studio a dietitian who is doing justice to the conversation. But before we go down to the phone lines, let's come from another angle. According to what you said, if I am not mistaken, you said that individuals and their particular routine to how they can manage their weight. So it is to say that it is not just a general thing that this is how everybody should go by it. Now, what would be your advice, your professional advice to persons that their neighbor has been told to exercise at least 3 times in a week? Take so vegetables, take fruit at so time of the day, and then because your neighbor is doing it, is working for your neighbor, you feel that, okay, this is how I am also going to go about it. It's also applicable to drug usage. Because this drug is working for this person, I also want to use it. For weight management and let us say a copy and paste attitude, how advisable is that? Does it even really make sense for you?
For anything that one wants to do, it's best to actually meet a professional in that field.
Okay.
To get the optimal results that you desire. Do you understand? Because beyond just eating, there are many things that people might not have an idea of. Like I've said, genetics play a part in it. Your preferences of food, they might tell you, do this, don't do this. So they might give you that information, but in itself is half-baked truth, half-baked lie. So, and you take it in, absorb it. For them, they might be doing something extra that is not known to you. Do you understand? You just hear people say, I use this slim tea to achieve this. Meanwhile,
there could be more.
They are doing something behind that is unknown to you. But that which you have seen, they might not even say it to you verbally. Perhaps it cost them on phone, or they talk to you, as the case may be. Because it worked for them, does not necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. That's why when you go to the gym instructor would ask you, what are your aim? What is your goal? What do you want to achieve with coming? Because they just don't treat you or manage you like every other person. They know that is a reason why you've come here. Maybe you don't want to have big belly. Maybe you don't want to be hamstrung. Anyone that the case may be. So they will look into that for you, and they will now advise, give you, the routine that would help you regarding to your needs. Then you achieve what you want to have. So it's the same thing is with diets. Meet with a professional. When I say professional, the doctor is meant to refer you to your dietitian, nutritionist, who will do the main, they will put you through on what to eat, the portion to eat, how frequent to eat, what you abstain from, what you can eat liberally, what you should take minimally. These are things that they would help with. But if you just say, I want to, and trust me, people go to Google. Google will give you. Because it's just a general. If I go to Google, I will see the same answer.
No, definitely.
If you come to Google, you will see the same answer.
True.
So Google will just give a generalized information. And I often say this: anybody can put whatever on Google.
True.
They don't censor you. They don't ask you to go and bring this to verify if you are certified to put something or not. So people go to Google and check, and they be like, oh, this is what I would do. But beyond that, they don't know why maybe that was prescribed or recommended. They just go for it. And they don't even take time to read through it. Just the information they are
thank you very much. I want to thank you for how well you're doing justice to this conversation. It is time for us to educate our listeners. Earlier you talked about good, healthy eating habits. Let's get down to that point of what do we call the good, healthy eating habit, and how can we have a good, healthy eating habit?
Okay. Good healthy eating habit is, having a knowledge of what you are eating. And should I say the benefits and the risk that are attributed to it. You understand? Generally, you will hear people say, I don't eat meat again. And the person will go for maybe pork. Or the person will say, I don't eat meat again. And the person is always going for, immaturely breeded catfish.
Because they don't eat meat again.
Do you understand? You are running from here, you are still meeting it in B. Like I've said earlier, I'm not saying this food in itself are not good. Do you understand? They are good, but sometimes there are considerations to your intake. So for healthy eating, the best way is to cut out, or should I say limit your saturated fats. And what do I mean by most of these saturated fats? You have your margarine, your sausage, which we call hot dog. You have your ketchup, not ketchup. I wanted to say mayonnaise. You have your butter. People will even bleach oil. People will cook egusi and pour oil on it. There was another time I saw on Instagram, our popular Guinness winner. She said, this is how I love to cook my vegetable, my egusi. Egusi in itself is fattening.
Yes.
Even though it has healthy fat, then they will now come and they will bleach the oil to cook the egusi and pour all of that. So this contributes to it. You see people take lots of pastries. I eat meat pie in the morning. You are eating meat pie. Somebody that is eating rice might have lesser calorie than you. Because all the things that is added to that, they will add butter, they will add this, and it's going to go through. So the person is eating healthier than you, and if the person is controlling the portion, so it might just look small, I just take shortbread in the morning. Teas also, shortbread and tea is fine for me. That tea, you know how many calories, and they will pour milk too. So how many calories you're taking, how much of that calorie you take matters. Not that you cannot have those things, but we don't know to what limit. So to eat healthy, have that knowledge of what you want to eat. Cut more of the saturated fat, like I've said. Go for your, the healthy fat, the unsaturated fats, and stop bleaching your oil. If I know bleach them and the next person did not know I want to fry stew with locust beans, they will not rest in this neighborhood. You don't have to do that. Just use your oil minimally. Then junk foods, ice cream, what have you. Even alcohol contributes to it. Not that people cannot take alcohol, but they take it in excess. You understand? If I take 5, I'm okay a day. And they continued that. And they will still hit like an armed robber. So these are things that they need to cut off from their... It's part of lifestyle. It's just diet modification. Modify what you eat. Know what you eat. And don't replace one with another. Because they all have their benefits to our well-being and our to our growth as well. So it's very, very crucial. And the same thing goes for children.
Okay.
You understand? But the thing is, when it comes to children, some are needed more compared to when you're an adult. Do you get? So take less of your meat, your beef, your red meat. You can go for your your white meat, which is fish, your chicken, your turkey, breast of chicken. These are going to do more good to you. But in all of it, don't forget inclusion of your vegetables. Vegetable is should I say vegetable na baba? It is less calorie and it's still going to make you fuller. It's still going to make you fuller because of the fiber, and it also aids your bowel movement. So why won't you go for it? And it does not have to be a foriro alone. Because when you mention vegetable, the first thing people's mind go to is, I don't like efo, it purges me. If efo purge you, go for carrots. Go for cucumber. Go for onions is vegetable. Spring onions is vegetable. Lettuce is vegetable. Cabbage is vegetable. So we have so much. Must you stick? Ewedu is vegetable. Okra is vegetable. So must you stick to eforiro only and say this is it? And the eforiro must be oily. So just just reduce most of these things, and you will see yourself how much your health has been, how much you've realized you've done for yourself. Because it might not be now, it will be for later.
Okay, thank you so very much. A few minutes from now, I would open the phone lines and we would accommodate, if possible, 2 to 3 calls, if there are any, as regards our conversation. Now, I want us to break it down, for people that are listening right now, so that they could actually hold on to something tangible. Let's take, for instance, or let's take a look at the elderly ones now, the older generation. Some of the questions I want to assume our people who ask right now is, how then should we eat? How then should we look healthy? You've said it, you do this, you take vegetables and all. But in its simplest form of understanding, the older generation, how should they live a healthy life? What should they eat? What should they not eat? What should be the do's? What should be the don'ts for the elderly ones, the fathers, the mothers, the grandmothers, the grandfathers?
Okay, thank you for that question. For the elderly ones, I would first advise fried foods.
Fried foods.
Take it out. Because it increases the calorie of whatever it is you have.
That is, for instance, fried egg, fried chicken.
Some of those can be allowed once in a while. You want to you are making a pot of soup.
Okay.
All the meat is fried.
Okay.
And they are all red meat. Or bokoto. You understand? They are all fried. Or even your Indian style. The strip, shaki, the liver, the kidney, their body, they are all fattening. So reduce many of those. And if it can cut it out, you're good to go. Do you understand? So let them reduce intake of it. But occasionally, that's why I said, if you can limit, when they go for parties, of course, they will not come and say, what do you eat in your house?
Exactly.
Let's serve you. Of course, there are cheat days. So maybe they served you 2 big meats. You can just have one so that you can promote your ojukokoro high from it. Do you get? So those ones are allowed. If somebody brought meat pie plenty, or they brought puff small chops, you can just take 1 or 2 or 3 and you're fine. You don't have to finish that bowl of whatever it is that you have on the table at that time. So invariably, if you want to eat, I've said that, cut down on those ones. And for the elderly ones, cut out on your processed food or much of refined food.
So when you say processed food, help our listeners understand that.
Okay, processed food. Number one, should I say spaghetti, Indomie? So people cannot go without Indomie a day. They will even
Noodles.
say noodles.
Yes.
Sorry to mention Indomie. Noodles. So people even say, I fry my noodles. Noodles in itself is what it is, and you are frying it, and they will fry egg with it and pour plenty oil. These are not healthy, and they will still put vegetable. What are you lying to? Because you've added vegetable. Do you expect that vegetable to extract that oil? So you can actually there are natural spices that you can even use, put in your food, that will even benefit your body, as the case may be. Your ginger, your garlic, your lemon, in as much as you can tolerate it. Your cinnamon, your clove, they make the food smell nice. Your crayfish. People will cook beans, they will add sugar
to make it sweet.
Exactly. I mean, why carbohydrate is in it already. It has natural sugar. Do you understand? So taking most of these things, take it out. Fried foods, oily foods, take it out. Indulge, like I've said, in more vegetable. Cucumber is at our reach. Garden egg is at our reach. You don't have to eat too much. You don't, like I said, you don't have to break a bank to incorporate that into your daily intake. Limit refined foods. You were asking.
Yes.
I mean, the sugar, sometimes honey is not as natural as it comes. Limit intake of those ones too. And even if it is natural, some person's health does not allow them to, indulge in it as they should be. So these are things to limit. Number one, and cut down on your carbs intake. That is your rice, your rice, your yam, your unripe plantain. People believe because it's unripe plantain, it does not have your wheat bread. All of those, they have carbohydrates. Even though there's some, determinants to how much you should take or how less you should take, but just take it moderately. Perhaps you normally take 300 or 500 naira rice. Just do for maybe 150 or 200. That's extra 200 naira on it. You can use it to just buy cucumber that you will slice on your food. Have your fish or your meat in moderacy on your food, and you're good to go.
Thank you so very much. I would open the phone lines real quick, and then I also want us to talk about the children now as regards nutrition. This would be beneficial to nursing mothers out there, most especially some of our nursing mothers needs to have a proper understanding of how to bring these children up in the healthy way. So you would help us on that too. But I want us to quickly take this message from WhatsApp. We have just one message here. This is from Temitope from Aga. She's asking, she says that how best can one add weight?
I cannot tell how best she can add weight over the hair, you understand? Like I said, she will need to, she has to be assessed. For most of these things, there is an assessment that is done. You check the person's weight, you check the person's height, you use other parameters. You understand? You calculate the BMI, you check if needed, you check the waist circumference, the hip circumference. Sometimes you can even go as far as using some machine that calculates the muscle mass, the fat, the water intake. So over the air, I cannot do that. So the best I can tell her is let her come to General Hospital Ikorodu, and she would have the answer that she desires. So
for you, Temitope, you've heard that from our very own guest today, a dietitian, Olushola Ayonade. Go down to General Hospital, just ask of Mrs. Olushola. 09040811061. Hello to you. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you.
Ginger Master, how are you today?
Very well, and you, sir?
I'm fine. Baba Ade on the line.
Thank you so very much for calling. Please go ahead with your question.
Well, I guess you are. I know you are talking about dieting and
weight
like
management. Yes, please.
And weight management.
Yes, please.
Now, I'm asking,
yes.
Is it not costlier to go on fruits, which allegedly they say is a lot better than all these food that we cook and stuff like that?
So
is it not costlier to feed on fruit? That's number one.
Okay.
Talking about reducing weight and managing what we have. I have a friend.
Okay. Oh, unfortunately, we lost that call. Baba Ade, do well enough to call us back. 0904081 1061 or 0904 1061. Olushola, he's asking that as regards what best to eat, why don't we do fruits? But he's saying, is fruits not even costlier? And then he wanted to talk about something else. Unfortunately, we lost the call. Let's see if he's the one calling back or someone else. Hello to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name, please.
Yeah, my name is Mrs. Akinwande from Lagos Road.
Thank you so very much for calling, Mrs. Akinwande.
Please, I want to ask the doctor, the dietitian,
Yes.
if somebody can eat fruit wrongly and vegetables wrongly.
If one can eat fruits wrongly and
Fruit and vegetables wrongly.
Oh, very well,
Yes,
very well. Then thank you so very much. Your question will be attended to. So let's take the first question that has to do with
Fruits being costlier.
fruits being costlier.
Replacing with fruit. Okay.
That is from Babade.
All right. So, Babade, thank you for that question. I mentioned something that every part of this nutrient is needed. Do you understand?
Yes.
But perhaps I didn't emphasize on it. You cannot, I'm taking it again, you cannot replace your calorie, your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein with vegetables. If you take vegetables alone, what is going to supply all those other major nutrients? Do you understand?
So it's not just about the fruits alone.
Exactly. You cannot substitute. It's not that the carbohydrates will not supply you much of the vitamins and the minerals. That's why we have the fruits and the vegetables. Do you understand? Vitamin the ones that are fruits that have nuts and protein, they cannot supply you much like when you take the major sources of those food. So you cannot do a substitution method and say I want to be fruit.
Substitute this with
like
that.
people will say I don't eat in the morning, I just do smoothie and I have. It's possible you do smoothie and it's okay, depending on what you have put together to make that smoothie and the total kilocalorie of that smoothie. If it matches your intake for that morning, that has been calculated for you. But outside of that, it's meant to be as your in between or to accompany whatever it is you're eating, and maybe to be a better chunk of your food, not that you have so much carbs. So, and it's not, people think it is costlier, but the truth is, if I want to buy ugu now, or you can even start up something, just look for a sand, go and buy seed.
Okay.
Buy gure seed, buy a efotete seed, buy spinach seed, buy scent leaf seed. Look for a sack or a bucket, plant them, and you just begin to pluck and eat. It's not that difficult.
It's as simple as that.
Do you understand? It don't, like I said, you don't have to break a bank to have all of this, and it's not costlier. It's because it's not a lifestyle for us in this part of the world. So the people that are selling tend to want to use so much, want to make so much money from it. So that's just it. But if you are doing it, I have my shoko, something small, I have this, I have a home. Even though it has not grown to how I want it. You understand? And I try to water it as much as possible. Of course, if I want to make my pepper soup, I'll just go and pluck my scent leaf and may not need to buy any.
That comes easy.
I don't have to go and spend extra 100 naira or 200 naira to buy that. People plant ewedu, people plant okra, people plant tomatoes. It might not be enough that you need to cook a soup, but it might be enough to dice on your food to go with that meal at that time.
At least
so you don't have
something
to
to add.
exactly. People have mango trees in their house.
True.
They have cashew trees in their house, so you don't have to break a bank. Just go, and there are always fruits in season. Fruits in season are cheaper. You don't have to go for fruit out of season. There was a time we have golden melon. People will just look at it. What fruit is it? You understand? So that's just it. So it's not very expensive lifestyle. But if it is that the person is not is having financial constraints, it's understandable. Let them go for the cooked ones. They can. If you buy cabbage of 300 naira, you cannot finish it 2 days.
Let's accommodate more calls. The calls keep coming in. I don't want to ignore all the calls. Hello to you. Good morning.
Morning. My name is Friday.
Coyote calling from where?
I'm Friday.
Friday calling from where? Sorry.
Ikorodu.
Talk to us real quick, Friday.
Yeah, I want to ask. They say sometimes that when you eat finish, when you eat your normal food, you can now eat fruit on it. I want to know, is it before you eat your normal food that you need to eat fruit, or when you eat the normal food finish before you can now eat a fruit.
Okay,
on
so
it.
Friday, if I get you clearly, you want a clarification on when should we eat fruit, before
Yeah.
eating or after eating?
Exactly.
Thank you so very much, Friday, for calling for that question. Before Friday's question, we have a caller earlier who asked the question, are there times where you abuse vegetables or fruits? And I think that's a very good question, because drugs are abused, foods are abused. Is that also applicable to vegetables and fruits?
Of course it is. You know, I think I kind of mentioned it in answering the first question. Like, you don't substitute.
Okay.
Some people will say because they are on vegetable, they will not eat anything at all.
I'm a vegetarian.
Exactly. Do you understand? And some people would just be taking fruit. And that fruit in itself, they are simple sugar. They are absorbed into the blood faster than your,
Normal
like your
food.
complex carbohydrate, your normal food. So when you take them too much, for instance, somebody that has diabetes and the person is taking is hungry and is taking 4 pieces or 5 pieces of orange, the person is taking fruit ideally, but for his health condition or her health condition, she's causing more harm than good. Because when you look at the rate at which this will spike the sugar, for that person, it can go higher. It may or it may not spike the sugar, but there is a tendency that it would, because of the rate of absorption that is faster. So there is a possibility of having your fruit and vegetable intake wrongly when you substitute with food, or when you let it be just too much, and you maybe your health requirement at that time requires that you have some things, but because you want to maintain something, you are going for that. There are people that they cannot take vegetable based on their health condition, anything that has fiber at that moment. Then later on, they can be advised to. So that's why I said it is individualized.
Let's take another call. Hello to you. Good morning. Hello, good morning. You're on. Okay, you may need to call us back when you're ready, but unfortunately, we have less than 5 minutes to leave the studio. How much I am enjoying this conversation. But let's still attend to the question from Friday. Friday is saying that, how about fruits? When should we take fruits? When is the best time? Before meal or after meal?
Fruits can be taken anytime.
Okay.
But this is it. Many people have some underlying condition that does not allow them to take some kind of fruits before meal, because they will first go for that. Take for instance, you will hear they'll say pregnant women should not take pineapple. Not that pineapple is not good for them, but most times the pattern of taking it is what is wrong. You have not eaten in the morning. Perhaps the person has peptic ulcer. And the first thing you went for is pineapple. Pineapple is acidic.
True.
It might trigger anything. And the person begins to have stomach pain, and they will say, pineapple is not good for pregnant women. Do you understand? So it can be taken anytime, but there are, there are exceptions to most of these things. So best, for some people can take it before, maybe they don't want to eat much, just let me have it. But it should not be the one that are acidic or the one that your body would not tolerate well. Know which one your body tolerates well, know which one is more acceptable. So anytime you want to have it, you're good to go.
Thank you so very much. For those of you still calling, I want to sincerely apologize. Time will not really permit us to take in any more calls right now. We have to leave the studio. But you can do well to just walk down to General Hospital Ikorodu here and then ask of Olushola Ayoade, a dietitian. She's there for you to anytime, any day. I think you work every day, 24 hours, 24/7.
we don't work 24 hours.
Okay, but just find your way to General Hospital Ikorodu and ask of a dietitian, Olushola Ayoade. And then we also have a message from Awo Folu, who wants to know about I don't know how applicable this is to a dietitian, but talking about low sperm count and talking about sugar level. He wants to know how well can you boost the immune to Claire. Is that really your department?
Yes, we do that too. It's actually it's a very vast course, because we'll say from conception till death. That's when we manage people, either patients or clients. And as much as that condition requires diet, you understand, or if that condition does not, but there is an underlying condition that requires diet, then we are in. For that person, I would advise that the person comes to the hospital. Do
Definitely,
you understand?
definitely.
Of course, there are foods that can actually boost fertility for a man, and food too. And sometimes the sugar level, when it's too high, can also affect the erectile function of a man. So it could lead to erectile dysfunction. So it could be. So it needs to come. That's why I said assessment is necessary.
True.
I cannot just over the air or on phone just talk to a person, somebody I don't know from Haydam. I just tend to ask you a few questions.
No be juju be that.
Do you understand? Of course, my assessment will be physical and verbal, because I will need to ask questions, how you've been, what is your family history, what do you do, how do you live your life, what's your lifestyle pattern, and all of that.
We have to go. In as much as I enjoyed every bit of the conversation with you, I want to say thank you so very much, Olushola Ayoade. But please, your parting words, your advice to everyone listening to you out there as a dietitian.
Okay, my parting word is very simple. Let's try to modify our diet and modify our lifestyle, and we'll see a better result.
Thank you so very much for your time, and of course this conversation will continue, talk about healthy conversations such as this one next week Thursday, but before then, do not forget that the issues, of course, comes up every Monday through Friday, 11 up until 12 p.m. every day. This is how far we can have a special thanks to General Hospital Ikorodu for doing us that honor, and of course thank you to you as well, our dietitian, for giving us that opportunity to speak with us today. My name remains the same, Opayemi Adebambo, urging you to stay healthy. Of course, you know your health is wealth, and it is important for you to stay safe. God bless Nigeria, God bless Lagos, God bless the beautiful people in Ikorodu. It's a bye for now.